You've given some very interesting answers with regard to university integration and the governor's proposed merger of the PASHE system and the 15 community colleges into a single entity. You spoke about savings from consolidating two trios of universities into Penn West and into Commonwealth. How much has the effort saved among the merged universities?
So I can't give you a total figure because we're only a year and a half into a 5-year journey, but we're tracking to estimate.
You don't do yearly budget looks?
We do, but the profile is your first couple of years. You need all hands on. You need a lot of people around doing a lot of things.
But in your previous answer to Senator Argyle, you indicated that there were savings.
Significant savings.
But you can't quantify those significant savings for us today.
I can't give you a roll-up number now.
So how can you assert that they are significant savings if you can't give us the numbers?
Because I can look at headcount, and I can look at, personnel expenditure, and I can look at contracting costs, and I can look at
Can you
IT
articulate
costs.
those for us?
I can, sure.
Can you get those to our appropriations?
I can even look them up if you like. But I can also get them to you.
So in that, can you articulate the staff and faculty cost savings that have been generated from those mergers to date?
I can.
But you don't have those numbers here today.
At Penn West and at Commonwealth, the numbers are a little bit different, but I think at Penn West they've realized something like 35% headcount reduction since 2010. 2/3 of that has happened since 2019. At Commonwealth, it's 32% or 31%, don't quote me. That's since 2010, but the vast majority has been in the last couple of years. So those are your headcount figures.
You talk about since 2010, those mergers didn't happen until long after
correct.
2010.
And as I said, most of those, more than 2/3 of those reductions happened since 2019, and a considerable number since 2019.
The driving force behind the integration of these universities has been their long-term financial viability. And you're struggling to articulate what their financials are for the past year and a half. Given the current market conditions, what are we looking at in the long term over the next few years? Because you have asserted that you're making fiscal projections into the future.
Yeah, so I don't think I'm struggling. I'm trying to be precise. So first point, the rationale for integration was not saving. It was to ensure that students on every one of the universities had access to a full breadth of academic programs. Those universities were shrinking to a point that they could only afford between 20 and 30 programs. Program breadth matters for students. They now have access to 80 or 90. So that's a big deal, so A. B, in terms of the economic projections, our university, Penn West is in 25-26, which is the out year, will be about will have an annual operating deficit of about $7 million, but it'll have shrunk considerably from where it is today. Commonwealth University will have an operating deficit at 25-26, annual operating deficit of about $10 million, but that reflects decisions that it's making about institutional aid and student affordability.
So a year and a half in, we can anticipate a $17 million operating deficit, and looking at Penn West's enrollment, it declined this year by 1,473 students, and Commonwealth University's enrollment declined by 985 students. You shared that in previous response to Chairman Argyle that the enrollment at the universities is like a snake, that it's smaller at the front and larger at the back, but those numbers at those two integrated universities don't follow your response. What are you doing to mitigate these dramatic enrollment declines, and do you expect this trend to continue at these institutions?
So just to correct the record, at Commonwealth University, fall 2023, enrollments were up 12%. Graduate students were up 275 students.
Dan, can you move your cell phone away and your computer from your microphone? There we go.
So at Commonwealth University, we're seeing in Commonwealth University, we're seeing uptake in enrollments, first-time, full-time. We're seeing direct uptake in direct admissions from the local school districts due to a direct admissions kind of and scholarship program netting something like 452 new students. So at Commonwealth, and you're seeing retention improvement, in particular for underrepresented minority and Pell students. So at Commonwealth, all the numbers are moving in the right direction. At Penn West, we've had a very disappointing initial year, as what I thought, go to pivot point we talked about. At one of the strongest acts of being a system, we spoke earlier about the strengths of being a system. The system put its arms around Penn West, imported some of our smartest people, and at Penn West is turning around aggressively. They reforecast their enrollment projections. They're beating them. They put those enrollment projections on the basis of real demographic, workforce, and student demand data, and they're beating them. They have their student retention and numbers, which are a leading indicator of future graduation rates, have bounced back to almost pre-COVID levels. So everything numerically is moving in the right direction. There are challenges, but you need to remember, and if you don't need to, I will remind you, Penn West universities were incredibly weak. They were operating under tremendous structural debt and deficit. And so right now,
but you just told me that this merger was not done for financial reasons.
It was done to protect the students, right, in providing them with breadth of opportunity with a budget that we can obviously afford. Yes.
Well,
Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could come for a second round, and if also I could understand why the numbers that have been presented to the committee in terms of enrollment for the fall head count are differing so greatly from the numbers that you are presenting today.
The numbers that I'm presenting today are the numbers taken directly out of the appropriations book, which we circulate every year in advance. So the numbers I'm presenting are also the numbers in that book.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.